What's up, everybody? Back for another Hawkeye Star Roll video. In this video, we're going to go over what characters were meta defining or game changing, or really just ranking the characters that came out in 2024. Now, I wanted to have this video out a little bit sooner, but I just forgot to do it. Yeah, there's no excuse there. Sorry. But anyway, this one's gonna probably be a bit controversial because when I say game changer, I mean like completely was like, holy crap, this is crazy, right? A good example of this is if we scroll down to really good DPSs like Donhang, I would say is a game changer. Jinglu, I'd say is not a game changer. They are of similar strength when they released, but Donheng was the first jump, and Jinglu was like the second, the second unit to really have that DPS like oomph in strength, right? So I'd say Donheng obviously was the person who game changed it, and then Jinglu was just another addition to it, right? So I would probably put Donheng in game changer, and then Jinglu would just be an OP, right? Not saying that Jinglu isn't on the same level DPS wise, but she wasn't the unit to start like this holy crap big damage trend, right? So let's start off with, funny enough, the only 1.0 unit on this list, and that is Dr. Ratio. Dr. Ratio released in January, right? Pretty cool. Luckily for Ting Yun, she actually dropped before New Year's, so she actually is included on this list as well. But Dr. Ratio, easily OP, right? When Ratio released, he was free, right? This is a free character. He was, you can't even argue. Well, he is a premium unit, but he was a free unit before he ever became summonable. They came out at the same time technically, but he was free the second he came out. So is he really a premium character? Regardless, Dr. Ratio was a absolute powerhouse, keeping up with like Jinglu and Donheng, and hell, he just aged even better as the year went on. While not being a game changer in the sense of a unit, it was game changing because he was a free unit for everybody. But just because the unit itself wasn't a full on game changer, I'm just going to put him in OP, even though I do think it was a game changing release that he was free. You were able to clear a bunch of content, especially if you just summoned a few supports, or you didn't really have a DPS yet, or you just needed a upgrade DPS and your DPSs were a bit old. Ratio was such a good release. Oh my lord. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Hoyo, if you're gonna drop another free unit, please make it like Ratio. Not saying it has to be a DPS, but he's just so good, right? Next up is going to be Black Swan. Now, I love Black Swan, but I have to do this to her. She was an okay release, right? Now, at the time, to be fair, Dot was still a viable team. I ran Dot. I really love Dot. I summoned for Black Swan, got her Lycone. I have Kafka, E1 at the time. I now have E2. She was an okay release, right? You'd run her with Dot, and you could run her as like a defense lowering unit. For funny enough, you can use her with Ratio because Ratio needs debuffs. You can run her as kind of a, it's gonna be rough to say, kind of like a Pela is on the other team unit, and you don't have a second Pela. Obviously we have Jiao Cube now, but before then it was just Pela or Black Swan, even though Black Swan is as good. And that was pretty much it. At the time, Akron wasn't a thought. Well, she technically was because we already seen her design. We didn't know her kit. So Black Swan really didn't have any like crazy defining thing. Black Swan was good in pure fiction, right? So maybe I'll put her in good, actually. I'll put her in good just because she was really, really good on pure fiction. But it's like, it's either here. She really only had two real teams. It was mostly just her Arcana who carried her. And unfortunately, I feel like she's definitely one of the worser aging units of this year. Unfortunately, that's just because Dot doesn't get any love, right? If Dot actually got love, she probably would just stay in good the entire time. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time putting her in anything other than very low good, or like just putting okay. But because she was good in pure fiction, and she had some other niche uses, we'll put her in good. We'll put her in good, right? I don't think she's that bad of it. Maybe I'm just being salty, right? Because Dot didn't evolve into this glorious thing it could be. We'll keep it good. We'll change it. We'll put it in good, right? Sparkle, OP. Oh my lord. People, the second this character's kit came out, better than Bronya. Bronya's dead. Why would you ever use Bronya? Summon for Sparkle, must summon. And I definitely told some people to summon, even though I didn't fully agree with Sparkle being this dominant, better than Bronya, because she didn't cleanse. It wasn't 100% action advance, but she had the skill points going for her. And look at her now. If this was a tier list for how well they age, yeah, she'd be down here. Holy hell. But since this is when they came out, right? Should be an OP, right? By the way, if you do want me to make a video on where I think characters are ranked now that they have went through their entire year, I could maybe make that. I don't know how it would work for characters like Sunday or Rappa, who are like really recent. You know, like, oh wow, Sunday still as broken as the day he came out. It's like 2 weeks ago, or not even. It's like a week ago when his banner left. Well, I guess technically it'd be like 2-3 weeks ago when he actually dropped, but his banner was just here. So like, has he really had time to age? You know, regardless of Sparkle was really OP when she released. Now we're probably gonna have the unit ranked the lowest, and the only person who, and that is Misha. Misha was really only used for niche freeze runs, and that's about it. You know, I made him pop off on one of the Apocalyptic Shadows where it was with the ice, and you had an ice buff, but other than that, Misha, who, right? Like, I don't know. I wish Misha was cool. I wish we just had more 4 stars, but y'all heard that rant from me a million times, so it doesn't really matter. Do I really need to explain? Like, honestly, do I actually have to explain this one? Do I? Fine, brief. You get a debuff on the enemy, you get a stack of her ult. When you get the max stack of ult, or the full circle for her ult, you get the max stacks. You click the ult button, and everything dies. There you go. Acheron jump in DPS. It was like Donhang 2.0 in the sense that we were getting this game-changing DPS. That's all I have to say, right? Adventurine, same thing, but with sustain. Adventurine, make you immortal, can't die. Can't say that for Fushuan. Can't say that for, well, kind of Locha, but you still can get one shot, right? That's the beauty of having a shield character, right? Adventurine was absolutely broken. People will downplay Adventurine to the end of time to gas up Fushuan. I'm sorry, Fushuan, bro. I had Fushuan. I spent money, made sure I got Fushuan, even though I was thinking, okay, I'll be fine, whatever, I don't really care. And we went to go like Golden Gears and Swarm, which were like the strongest end game at the time, right? Because MOC was still MOC 10, I believe. I forgot when they added 12. And Fushuan was down on like one hit. You get hit with the ult from the Swarm bug, and it has a couple bugs up, bro. Fushuan is getting one shot because she cannot take all the damage from the other characters. And that has come more and more apparent the harder enemies hit, Fushuan just is struggling, and Adventurine just does not have that issue, right? So I think Adventurine is definitely in game changer with how good of a sustain he is. Next up is Gallagher. Gallagher is just going to be in OP. Incredible break unit. However, when he dropped, there wasn't really a lot going for him, unfortunately. However, that's not saying he was a bad unit. I still think Gallagher was plenty good enough. Do I want to put him in OP? I don't think about it. He did have some inconsistencies with the fact that you needed dupes to have the cleanse. I think for the sake of him needing E2 to have cleanse, we'll put him in good, actually. I feel like that's a good compromise because when he released, we did not have Super Break yet. It was one update after. If it was Super Break, he'd be an OP. But since he had to wait and this was an on release, I'll be fair because I was fair for Black Swan, right? I'll be fair for Gallagher as well. Well, in the reverse, this is technically not helping Gallagher's case. He was still a decent healer. You know, the attack down was very helpful. You know, not saying like the toughness bar really was needed, but Acheron could use him on the team. I used him with Acheron for a healer, so we'll keep him in good. We'll keep him in good. Next up is the Harmony MC. Literally implemented one of the most busted mechanics in the game in Super Break. That's all I need to say. I actually don't need to talk anymore. Super Break, there you go. Robin, best support in the game. This like Ruin May was the 1.0 support jump. Robin is the 2.0 support jump. Will we have one of 3.0? Definitely, right? Robin was just, she does so much, bro. She does damage, action advance, follow-up attack stuff. She's just so much damage. Like, actually, just way too much damage. When she released, people were going crazy. Must summon, and how she's obviously a good unit because they're rerunning her for the second time already. She's not even like that crazy old like other characters like Ratio, who hasn't gotten a single rerun for some reason. But anyway, don't really need to say more. It's Robin. She's busted. Insane support, right? Now these next two characters are going to be kind of funny. I'm going to put Boothill and Firefly in OP and not Game Changer. The reason for this is I think Boothill and Firefly are very close to just around the same strength wise when they released, right? Firefly got a bit more love because she was more AoE based, right? And Boothill did not. However, however, Firefly's damage was comparable to Acheron, and since I already talked about the whole, Don Hang and Jing Lu thing, I think Firefly wasn't a game changer because it's not like she's doing this next jump in DPS compared to Acheron. Was she extremely good and people had comparisons where she was at least better? Yeah, sure, but the damage wasn't insane to where it's like, oh my god, Acheron fell off. Firefly was still very strong. It was hitting really hard, but it wasn't a huge jump, so she's just gonna go in OP. Not saying she's bad, she's incredible, insane unit, but we already had the meta jump with Acheron, so that's why she's a game changer. And Firefly is not in game changer, and Acheron is. Next up, we have Jade. Jade's going in good. Jade was pretty much just a pure fiction bot. There's been a lot more tech with her with other units, but nothing too crazy on release. So I'm just gonna put her in good, right? Next up is Yunli. Yunli is gonna be an OP. Nothing crazy, just a very strong counter character. I wish I could put her up here for game changer, but she wasn't changing anything. Just another hard hitting unit, even though I think she's definitely one of the more fun characters to come out. Fun doesn't really equate into being OP because, there could be in like a fighting game, the best character in the game could click one button and win all matches. It's not fun, but it's still the best character in the game. So, unfortunately for Yunli, just going OP. Next up is Zhao Q. Zhao Q is going to be in OP. You pretty much got a second Pela, right? That's pretty good. You also got Acheron's best in slot support, and could kind of use them in dot, right? Jakku also, debuffs for characters like Ratio who want debuffs, and just a overall very good character. Plus, you could technically use them in Super Break if you really wanted to. I'm not saying you should, but it's an option, right? But yeah, mostly used for Acheron support and just debuffs in general. Really, just having a second Pela, like I said, is just with how strong Jakku is. Next up, we have March. March is going to go in OP. Now, the reason for this is because even though I don't like using March in the break teams, March is a break effect support, a sub DPS, and a follow-up attack support. March is so good, you can safely skip a premium 5-star unit. If that doesn't say how good she is, I don't know what ail. She's going in OP, right? If you have Fei Jiao, you could just straight up be like, okay, I'm not summoning for Topaz, right? Now, to be fair, Fei Jiao was not out at the time, so you'd use her with Ratio, and Ratio technically wanted more debuffs, so Topaz was the better partner, but still, March was still incredibly good. You can run as a sub DPS for teams, you can run her with the break team. Overall, very solid unit, and it has only gotten better. And even though I said this wasn't about units getting better, on release, she was still incredibly strong, right? Next up, we have Fei Jiao. Same thing, she's an OP. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and go, oh my god, how is March 7th and all these characters in the same tier as Fei Jiao and Firefly? It's crazy. Hey, bro. If Fei Jiao would have released before Acheron, Fei Jiao would be up there, right? While Fei Jiao is a jump in damage from Firefly and Acheron, I don't think it was like insane enough, right? I don't think we're at a point where a unit is just doing such insane damage that they need to be a whole tier above them. Like by far, there's not even close. If they're still comparable damage wise and you can run either or and still get a good score, I think it's fine. And Fei Jiao is pretty much just there, right? Now, was her teams absolutely destroying everything? Oh yeah, 100%. Acheron was not clearing it as fast and as freaking monstrously strong of a team, but still, I mean, Fei Xiao's still a absolute like beast of a character. I'm not saying she's not, just hasn't been, at least in my opinion, a big enough jump to warrant putting her in game changer as a DPS, right? Most of the time, if you're a DPS and you're not instantly clearing the rest of the game and making it to where it's like a meta reset for the DPSs, you're not in game changer to me, right? Next up is Linxia. Now, Linxia, I love her so much. People were saying she's a side grade of Gallagher, and I was like, that's absolutely fucking crazy. She is broken. What are y'all talking about? I still think she's an OP. That is just because Adventurine has started the like unkillable support, sustain slash DPS. Linxia does DPS side a little bit better than him, but his sustain is a tad better because it is just shield sustain and not a heal sustain. So if there's like a one shot or whatever, the shield is definitely more helpful. She cleanses debuffs. He doesn't. They're very close, but since they're close, I'm going to keep Adventurine a game changer and Linxia OP because of pretty much the same criteria I said before. Next up is Mose. Mose is in good, right? I do think that March has more variety, therefore she should be a bit higher than him, but Mose is still an incredibly good unit, and you can use him instead of Topaz, and that's already just a big W. Being able to have a 4-star do a 5-star job good enough to still get the clear and do good enough damage is incredibly good. Just give us more 4-stars, please, Hoyo. Please, I beg you, please give us more 4-stars, man. Anyway, next up is Rappa. Rappa is going to go in OP. Just a really good break unit, and that's pretty much it. She's just a good DPS. I mean, she doesn't do anything really crazy, but the fact that she is able to, be up there with the other DPSs puts her in OP, right? A lot of good releases this year. A lot of good releases, right? Next up is Sunday. Sunday is in Game Changer. When you make the second ever summonable character who is regarded as the worst summonable 5-star absolute garbage, was bad on release, and make them better than Acheron, who is the best, well, not best DPS, but I'd say up there as one of the top 3 like best DPS in the game, you have to be game changing, right? And that is Sunday. Sunday is not only going to just get extremely better, he's already just that good, right? Giving energy, giving crit rate, crit damage, action advance, cleansing, just good lord, what does he not do? The only thing he doesn't do is pretty much what Robin covers, which is crazy, right? Because Robin's AoE, Sunday's single target. Plus, if you have his Lycon, which I'm not factoring these characters' Lycons, I'm just saying he's skill point positive. Like, good lord, can like the Sunday glazing gotta stop, man. The devs were cooking with his kid. They made sure they had no error with him, right? The only thing they could have done is just made him AoE, which would have been way too busted. Obviously, imagine having like whole old Bronya skill AoE, like a little too much, right? But yeah, no, definitely a game-changing unit. Absolutely broken. And then this brings us to our last unit in Fugue. This one's gonna be a little hard. I think Ting Yun is just an OP, right? Now, while the second toughness bar is kind of game changing and very strong, it's not making teams. Well, the Himiko team is doing absolutely disgusting work with her. I'm very conflicted on this one, right? Because I feel like, generally speaking, she isn't making characters do like leaps and bounds, like crazy. Like, if you don't have this unit, like they're straight up unrunnable, right? Like, she's not making a Jing Yun unit like top tier, right? Like, she's not making who's like a decent break unit or like a whatever break unit. Sushing. She's not making Sushing like this top tier break unit, right? Because of how broken she is, but she still is very strong. I feel like it's definitely teetering. I think I'm just gonna put her in OP, right? The more I think about it, I'm just gonna put her in OP as that's a safe pick, right? Now all these characters in OP are extremely strong and were extremely strong on release. So like I said a million times before, it's not saying Ting Yun is bad. I'm just saying I think that the game-changing characters are just a next step above of what they provided. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I feel like I maybe should have made a different row between OP and like here. Just for the sake of the argument, if I had to make another tier, I probably would put these characters up here, these 3. I think these 3 are the only characters that deserve it, but they really just have a character above them that did what they did first in terms of being like this next good DPS, this next good sustain. So yeah, I'd probably just put them here if anything, right? If I had to make another tier, but I'm content with just having the tier be what it is right now. But other than that, that's pretty much going to be it for the video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. What units do you think were incredibly good on release? What are your thoughts on where they're at now? Did you make good investments when you summoned? Do you regret any of your summons? Like I said, let me know what you think of the list in the comments, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.